Hey friends, this is the MODE 65, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to build it. Right now, I have the hot swap PCB on hand, so it will be used as the prime example, and it will be more beginner friendly. But if you have the solderable PCB, I will explain the differences in each step where applicable and what you need to do depending on what mounting style you're going for. Alright, let's get started. Now, during the unboxing process, make sure you have all of your pieces and tools before we begin. You should have the 65 keyboard top and bottom cases, the 65 keyboard back piece, one of the plates of your choice, a 65 hot swap or solderable PCB, a USB-C daughter board along with the JST cable, some bags of screws, gaskets, and tools, stabilizers, switches, and keycaps of your choice. Additionally, if you want as optional components, you can get the silicone base, which will be required for the stack mount, and or a plate foam for sound dampening. I will also have a link to the 65 build guide URL down below in the video description, as there is a checklist for parts, or you can just pause the video screen here before moving on. You should also download the program VIA from caniusevia.com, as it will be needed to test your PCB and remapping keys for your own personal setup. The MODE 65 supports 3 different mounting styles: top mount, isolated top mount, and stack mount, which all can easily be changed around in a couple simple steps, allowing the user to try out different typing experiences. First step, have the underside of the bottom case facing up and install the rubber feet by aligning them down into the recessed channel of the 4 corners. Step 2, connect the USB-C daughter board to the PCB with the JST cable. Keep in mind the JST cable will only go in one way, so be sure it's facing the right orientation before pressing in. Then open up VIA and navigate to the key tester tab while enabling matrix mode. Use a pair of tweezers and touch the back of the metal pads for each key switch to make sure they're all functional. If the key switch works, it will light up. If your keys are not lighting up, then you should contact Mode Design for support. Step 3. Detach the JST cable from the PCB and attach the daughter board onto the bottom case using the black M2x3 socket head cap screws. You should have 4 of these in total. As with any screws, do not over-tighten them or you may damage the components. Step 4. Installing the stabilizers. Before you actually install the stabilizers onto the PCB, you should have them assembled and ready to go. Now, assembling and lubing stabilizers are a completely separate piece of content, and if you want a tutorial for that, there's a really good video by Teja Types, which I will link down in the description below. So, installing the stabilizers, you want to insert and hook the non-threaded end into the larger cutouts on the PCB, and then pivot the threaded ends into place like so. While bracing the front end of each stabilizer, fasten the screws from the other side into place, and again, do not over-tighten. Step 5. Installing your switches. Make sure the 2 metal pins under the switch are straight. If they are bent, use tweezers to straighten them out. If you plan on using the optional plate foam for a more muted sound profile, lay it on top of the PCB right now. With or without the plate foam, the next thing would be to lay the plate on top while aligning it with the edges and corners of the PCB. Be mindful that the plates go on the front side of the PCB, not the back side. Then you'll need to fasten the plate screws via the standoffs with the black M2x5 flathead screws. You should have 3 in total. Quick note about switches. Lubing them is generally recommended but not required. If you want a tutorial for that as well, I will have another link to Teja's video down below. Now you can begin inserting switches into the plate and PCB. If you're using a hot swap PCB, make sure to brace the socket in the back with a finger. It is recommended that you start inserting switches along the corners and edges of the plate and work your way towards the middle. Do not apply pressure into the plate itself. If you're using a solderable PCB, then you should start by inserting switches into the corners of the plate first. Again, make sure the 2 metal pins on your switches are straight. And if you're using the optional dampening plate foam, then you should lay down the foam on the PCB right now. Then align the plate with the PCB around the edges and press the switches in. Step 6. Continue installing the remaining switches. Note that regardless whether you're using a hot swap or solderable PCB, make sure that each of your switches are fully seated into the PCB. You can tell by how much the switch legs and pins are sticking through from the backside of the socket or not enough, so look closely. You also want to make sure the plate isn't sagging. You can easily fix this by bracing the PCB and the switch itself, and then pull the sacking plate upward towards the switch until it clicks into place. Assuming all your switches are fully seated and your plate is straight, you may go ahead and solder your switches on. Step 7. Installing the plate caps. If you're going for an isolated top mount or stack mount, then slide the silicone plate caps onto the plate tabs. But for the regular top mount configuration, please skip this step. Step 8. This is only for stack mounted builds. Place the silicone base into the bottom case like so and fasten the 8 M2x5 flathead screws in place. So if you're doing either the top mount or isolated top mount, please skip this step. Step 9. Place the top case face down and gently lower the assembled plate and PCB into the top case. Secure the plate into the top case via the tabs along the top and bottom edges with the 6 black M2x5 button head cap screws. If you're doing an isolated top mount, do not over-tighten the screws as they will go past the silicone plate caps. Step 10. Align and insert the bottom case into the top case like so. Hold the bottom case firmly with one hand and use your other hand to attach the daughter board JST cable into the USB header of the PCB. Make sure the JST cable is in the correct orientation before pressing in. Close the bottom case onto the top case, but make sure the cable sits inside the recessed area of the bottom case. Step 11. Secure the bottom case by fastening the 4 silver M2x5 button head cap screws. Again, do not over-tighten the screws. Step 12. Install the magnetic back piece by aligning it like so. Step 13. Install your keycaps. The MODE 65 plate also has cutouts for the stabilizers where you can easily inject and add more lube when and if desired to fix any rattling without having to disassemble the keyboard itself. Step 14. Open VIA again and check that all your keys are working properly. You can also do this VIA check right before you insert your keycaps. This way you'll know if any of your switches were not installed correctly. And you're all done. That's it for how to build the MODE 65. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. Thumbs and subs for more keyboard content here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.